Okay, what's up, everybody? Just wanted to talk about a really controversial passage in the Bible, First Timothy 2, 11 through 15. It's talking about the different roles between man and women. And I just had an insight that I think might be helpful for looking at this passage and recognizing why it says what it says. Uh, even, and I struggle with uh, this passage even, and agreeing with it. But I'm just going to read it and then give some thoughts. So, um, 1 Timothy 2, 11 through 15. A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over a man. She must be silent. For Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. But women will be saved through childbearing, if they continue in faith, love, and holiness with propriety. Okay, so we have the First Timothy 11. A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. Now, I think a lot of caricaturing has been drawn of that passage. This is talking about women's roles in the church, and I think it's really professing that like a woman leading a man in a relationship or leading a man uh, leading a group of men in the church, um, is not right. And so let me explain why that is. So in passage 14, or in verse 14, it says, "And Adam was not the one deceived." Adam was formed first, then Eve. Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. Okay, so Eve was that's true, right? Eve was tempted by Satan, and she fell first, and then gave Adam the fruit. He ate, and then he fell. But I believe it's in the book of Romans where it talks about death coming through Adam. So Eve was the one who was deceived, but yet Adam is the one who was held responsible for death coming to all mankind through all generations. So my question basically is, if those roles were reversed, if Adam ate first and Eve was the one with authority, and she was the one held responsible. This verse said, and Eve was not the one deceived, it was the man who was deceived and became a sinner. But then you would have to have that, you couldn't have your cake and eat it too. You'd have to have the other passage which says that death came through Adam, say death came through Eve. Now when people would look at that passage, would they see that in a similar light and just as negatively? So that authority comes with responsibility. That authority of man. So like if I sin, if I was Adam and I sinned, and death came through me, I'm holding that responsibility on my shoulders. And in ways, Eve is held less responsible. Of course, she was deceived. So was Adam. She was deceived first, and Adam, I believe, was influenced by her. But so it's describing the different roles, and it's not saying either one or the other is less or more human. But I mean, we know there's a biological truth behind this, right? And a psychological truth behind the differences between men and women. So, um, not to say either one is less than or more than the other. Uh, and it does say 12. This one's pretty hard for people. I do not permit a woman to teach or to have authority over a man. She must be silent. Now that is, that's a hard one. But is it saying that women must be silent all the time and just roll over and take things? I don't think that's what it's saying. I think it's saying women, telling men like how to run a church, or telling men how to do things like in a relationship, can lead to a role reversal that was not intended in design. And that's a hard thing to recognize. But you even look at history, um, and this is not in any way like, I think women, for my personal perspective, I think women are better than men. I think we just have it better in some ways. I guess in some ways we have it worse. I mean, like, men usually have to go fight wars. Men are tasked with, you know, protecting the household, etc. So, this is speaking, I think, into the spiritual nature of the different roles between men and women, and not saying that God sees either one less than the other. But it's just an honest look at it, and I think I do personally think, like, I have to be careful with what I say here, uh, as far as respecting the text. But Paul lived in a very different time and age. Obviously, if he said this now, it would be different. But then it was just common knowledge. Um, but I think we don't really do the text justice if we are pretending that there is no difference between men and women. So, anyways, those were some thoughts. I do think that insight on verse 14, and Adam was not the one deceived, it was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. Looking at that in light of the fact that death came through Adam. And so you're either a child of Adam or you're a child of Christ, right? Like, and so Adam holds the responsibility of the entire weight of sin on his shoulders. And he is the one that we place blame on. And if those roles were reversed and it was the woman who had the authority, it was the woman who held responsibility for sin, would we be looking at the Bible any less negatively for that reason? So, anyways, hope that helps. Thanks for listening.